For more content invest, we talk about investing, finance, and professional development. For today's sessions only, the investment we're going to talk today will be Ethereum TKTH. First, want to say happy Saturday, everybody. Have a great weekend so far. Respect to recording time of 8:25 a.m. on the Eastern Time, Ethereum currently trading $3,605, up about 0.68% so far. With respect to the consecutive volatile days ever since the transition from September to October, and also with respect to the mixtures of the China crackdown news, subsequently the FOMC meeting, and then Jerome Powell subsequently, on the 1st of October, saying that he has no intentions of banning cryptocurrencies, and then also, more news coverage around Gary Gensler on, obviously the SEC of the US, on his stamp of approval, saying that he has no intention to banning crypto either. And then seems like there is a revival across the spectrum, hedge funds, including like Soros Fund, and other crypto-specific investment managers are stepping up to say that, Bitcoin and Ethereum are the value proposition to bet on. And then we hear more news coming from Mark Cuban saying that it's wise to diversify your portfolio into specifically Bitcoin, but with a good hedge, categorizing Ethereum as some sort of like, silver type of commoditized, entity. And then also with Kevin O'Leary at the same time, right? But despite all of this, frankly, media curation, we've seen the Golden Cross being formed, exactly at the end of September, and then we've been basically dragging up the Golden Cross upward, trading from the $3,000 mark, specifically with Ethereum, to go up to the $3,600 mark, right? And we know that per the technical, we are levitating, right? The next level technically have to be either going down to the 3,450 or going up to the 3,850. So we are hovering right now. The current level is a relatively weak level in the architectural perspective if you look at the the bar charts that we've been experiencing so far, and also in the financial asset perspective, which will translate subsequently, a sell-off that will be imminent based on how it's being set up right now, right? So that's the technical. I will dive into a little bit more. Let's look at the news first, right? Because it's important that we capture, some of the non-substantive and substantive news to formalize our decisions based on, some of the activities that we can see, on the media front, which, in if you read between the lines, the whales activities as well on how that will translate into the market volatility at days ahead, right? So these are, again, old news that is well curated to influence the market, right? So that's the frame of point of view, that mindset you have to be adopting when you're reading news, right? So the first one's on Fox Business 4 hours ago, talk about Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Dogecoin all in negative territories on this Saturday morning. So we opened relatively lower in comparisons to current level right now. We opened at 3,581, which that's not really a level at all. That's just more of a level of levitation again, right? So that's applicable across Bitcoin and Dogecoin respectively. And we're just trading on a sideways fashion, despite the foreseeable or expected volatility that we saw yesterday with respect to the option expiry, the $250 million that was, supposedly washed down the drain, and also with the weekend affectation. So it seems like, the volatility was, was short-lived. It was relatively well masked, if you may. It definitely drove some fear-mongering. Some people definitely took some profits in earlier Friday as the news broke out. But it seems like it kind of recuperated and normalized from there. And that's so it seems like just more, media try to stir the pot, if you may, right? And then next one on Decrypt 15 hours ago, talk about Bored Ape Yachts Club NFT project to launch Ethereum tokens in Q1 2022. So this is something we've heard before. This is something that we are going to be experiencing even further going forward. Seems like NFT definitely commercializing on both a consumer retail front, but also on the corporate front. So definitely watch out for. Bored Ape seems like it's a relatively sizable project, with a, should technically translate into some market, supply and demand imbalance, or AKA more buying pressure onto the Ethereum price level, right? Then the next one is on Bazinga about 6 hours ago. Talk about um, this crypto flew past Ethereum Classic, and they basically talk about Solana. Could it eventually become as big as Ethereum? So basically, they talk about like the vibe proposition to Solana. So if you were to take a read on Bazinga about 6 hours ago, Solana is definitely trading on a relatively different momentum. It's on a different market cycle as well, which is kind of interesting. It's kind of like trade doing its own thing. If you take a look at the chart, I think it's probably because of the initialization time frame of when it began, when did the whale start to buy. So they go through a different type of circulatory system. So that's something you have to look at it with a different set of eyes. But Solana is a good hedge, I think. So is like Cardano, Dogecoin, Polkadot, respectively, XRP, right? These are all altcoin that have reputable names, right? But ultimately, which one does that, in terms of like risk management perspective, are the ones that most resonating to you, right? It's up to your decisions, right? And the next one is something that we've talked about yesterday, 9 hours ago. Another regurgitation news, talk about buying Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrencies could be a huge leap of faith. You don't want to be a greater fool. So it seems like it's another persuasive article talking about the lack thereof or some of the areas of improvement with respect to crypto assets as a whole. That if you invest in it, it's kind of like a gamble, but I don't know why they would say something like this. Ultimately, we are going through an evolutionary type of transition in our financial sector at the moment, right? So leap of faith, we understand because there is a lot of regulatory hurdle, but Gary Gensler and Jerome Powell from the U.S. government, which they are basically the controller of our financial assets of the United States, already said that they have no intention of banning it. So I don't know what they mean by huge leap of faith. We might see some volatility because of the other side of the world, like China is still suspending the crypto mining activity is still indefinite, right? So so it's something to be to read, to take a grain of salt. It's informative, I guess, but nothing really can influence people with adjusted mind, if you may, right? So that's pretty much on the news front. So let's take a look at the technicals. So we are currently still at the relatively bullish momentum. However, we are gonna canceled out by RSI because we're 62 of 70 right now. So it's either we run it really hot and get way to the 3,850, and I think by then we'll be extremely overbought that you probably want to sell some of your holdings. I probably will do that. But for me, I'm trying to get to 100. So, but we'll see how dragged up the chart will be by then, because this is not something that is sustainable at all. If you take a look, right, we are extremely overbought, like very overbought. We're dragged up, right, and then we have a very large leap. This could be technically the leap of faith, like the article is talking about. Can we get there? And by then you probably break the chart, right? We'll be like at the 74 out of 70, and that's like extremely overbought. And then the sell-off will be very sharp, comparable to something like this, right? So is that something you want to be incurring in a risk management perspective? Not in my perspective, not in my personal, preference either. Next one is Bitcoin. We are still overbought, right? Seems like the bullish is still occurring because there's no signs of curvature yet. We're at the 71, and we start at the lower bar at the 54,600. And it seems like the next leap up is technically to go up to again, right, the 58, right? So we do have like $3,000 left to go, and it's like it is kind of like a large gap, right? $3,000, and then technically the 359,500 as well, and then going to the all-time high, the $65,000, right? So, but we know that we already overbought, like crazy overbought, like 71. And if you look historicals, if you're gonna bet on the horse that you're gonna keep running this hot, right? this occurred like in 2021 earlier in January. But can the movie repeat itself? Right, by then you'll be extremely overbought to the scale of 93 out of 71. I think the risk is relatively high right now. But hold for long term. I'm still holding. I still have 3 Bitcoins exactly that I don't plan on selling until Bitcoin hit like at least 6 digits going forward. So, but again, is it wise to buy now? No, I don't think so. Dogecoin, we are kind of hovering. We at this 57 or the 60 out of 70, so it's not the best level. Again, right, the best level to buy at was the 19 and the 20 cents, right? So I will hold off and cool off right now. I think the curvature is already forming right now, so we are leaning more of a propensity to go down at the moment. Cardano is having a lag effect with 51 of 70. So in terms of like if you buy now, I think maybe $2.10 and then $2 are the better levels. And next level that you technically leap up to would be $2.45 and $2.36. So which are the respective levels that will leap up. So Cardano is still relatively lagged right now. So Solana is definitely struggling. I think it's just kind of dragged up and down by like public investors, not really institutional investors. I think they bought in most of them in here back in the day based on just the volume. We are the 55.70. There is a curvature down right now, so I think the sell-off will technically be imminent to go back to the 123 first, and then 110, and then 92 for like a brief second, but I technically at the 63, which is more substantive. XRP, we're surging right now, which makes sense because we had some room to run up to. We did reach the 110, so technically the next level will be going to the 115, but that's about it. I don't see us going even further because after that you have to go all the way to the 130. By then you'll be extremely overbought, right? So I think this is relatively short-lived, mainly coming from public investors. Again, the levels are more identified here: 110, 30, 93, and 88, right? Polkadots, I would probably stay away. This is relatively funky. We have the head and shoulder pattern. We have sharp crash recently. I don't know what the hell happened. It was crashed by 47% in like a blink of an eye, 5 minutes. Right now we're at the 60 out of 70, so this is not the perfect chart to buy it right now. I think 25 or yeah, it would be at the bare minimum level for me to buy at right now. So with respect to the cycle, I think we're still in the anger and depression stage, and I think some of the signs are already fishing out. So something to be mindful of. We're gonna see more volatility coming. And I think the next big one is technically the FOMC meeting in November. As that we'll hear more about the federal triangulations on the tapering, but also with respect to the crypto bills, right? With respect to Ethereum, 3,150, 2,700, 2,450 would be the level of dollar cost average in a logical level, right? In the next 12 months, you probably get to a much higher level than where we're at right now. So if you buy it now and you want to, and you just kind of have to, just buy it and hold it for until these levels appear, right? So I really appreciate you for dropping by on this Saturday. Feel free to give me any questions. I'll probably post another video later today, but I do have some meetings, even though it's a Saturday, just to talk to some people in my ecosystem. But I really appreciate you for dropping by. Have a great rest of the Saturday and a great rest of the weekend. And stay tuned for us to come up. Take care. Bye.